I'd like to call this meeting to order. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the special called board meeting. Today is December 19th, 2023. It is 5:30 p.m. We are in the BISD Administration Building. Dr. Chavez, could you lead us in a moment of silence, and then if everybody could follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Roll call. Everybody is here present. Thank you for that. Ms. Pat?
Item 5, recommend approving the agenda of the special call board meeting of Tuesday, December 19, 2023, with any corrections or deletions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Please vote. Motion passes 6 yes, 1 abstention.
Next up is public comment. Persons wanting to address the board during public comment shall, before the beginning of the meeting, print their names and subject matter on the sign-in sheet provided at the entrance of the boardroom. As for policy BED local, all board meetings, public comment shall be limited to items on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. The board allots 30 minutes for public comment. Speakers shall limit comments to a maximum of 5 minutes or the allotted time, depending on the number of speakers that have signed up. Complaints or grievances on the following subjects: employee complaints, personnel matters, student complaints, removal of alternative education programs, complaints against individual board members, and expulsions shall be directed to the appropriate policy for attempted resolution before bringing the matter before the board. The board president shall determine if the topic shall be redirected to the appropriate policy or redirected to administration. Comments on issues shall be constructive and courteous. Furthermore, as board president, I do direct our board legal counsel to monitor this board, including myself and the superintendent, along with all speakers of the meeting, to enforce all meeting procedures and decorum as required by our local policies and state law.
Yes, Madam President.
Thank you. First speaker is Ms. Angelica Villarreal. You have 5 minutes, ma'am.
There? Hi. Hello, everyone. Um, Interim Superintendent, hello. School Board, hello. I have 5 minutes. I've never had 5 minutes before. I'm in awe. Anyway, it's good to be back. Good to see you all. Happy holidays. Hope everybody's okay and that your families do well. Did you have time to spend with them and have a blessed time with them? Because there's nothing more important than family. I'm here today because I saw something and I was kind of taken aback. And I just didn't know what to think. You know, you have a member of the school board that you want off the school board. And I couldn't understand that. You know, I had the opportunity yesterday to sit in a sergeant's office in the sheriff's department just to sit and chat for a while. And I felt the weight of that office and that position that, you know, you have to have integrity, loyalty, high moral standards, high ethics, be ready to serve the public above and beyond what you thought was possible. Be strong, assured, and have faith that everything would go right. That's a very heavy burden to carry as a sergeant in the sheriff's department. But while I was doing that, I was thinking, wow, there's one member here sitting in the board as a board member that had that duty, and that is Minerva Peña. So I do not understand why you want to take someone off the board who had such a high standing in the community and showed her loyalty and public service even before she came here. I know that I have addressed many issues with her, and just about saying, well, you know what, I'm going to look into it. Yeah, that's great. Look into it. But then it would be crickets. I wouldn't hear back. And it wasn't once, and it wasn't twice, and it wasn't 3 times, and it wasn't by one board member too. Nothing happened. But I knew that I could call Ms. Peña and she would take care of the problem. As board members, you're supposed to listen, but you're also supposed to act upon what is told to you and have the courtesy to call back and say, you know what, this is what I did. And many of you failed. I was surprised with Eddie Garcia. He followed through with the lesson plans. And I hope you continue, sir. I told you that, face to face, shaking your hand. And I hold you to that. I will hold your feet to the fire. These teachers need help. But I do not understand how you want to take somebody with such integrity out of the school board. This is probably going to cost the district money. Our schools, let me tell you about Perez Elementary. It rains more under the covered walkways than it does out in the open. Yes or no, Mr. Elizondo? You walked the campus with me. And you'd rather spend money on getting Ms. Peña out than keeping our kids dry? Really? What is the priority? What is the priority? I thought you were here for our children. Where do our children come in? This thing of minority and majority, it's got to stop. The community's looking at you. And I hope that everybody's looking at these board meetings and going, you know what? We've asked for raises. I was told, Angie, don't leave. We're going to give you raises. Guess what? It didn't happen. I'm glad I left. Look at these board meetings. The people that have the power here are the ones, the citizens right here that are going to go out and vote. And the citizens that are watching me there, go out and vote. Go out and vote. Thank you.
Next up is Ms. Veronica Borrego.
Good evening, Board President Gonzalez, board members, Superintendent Dr. Chavez, and all watching this evening. My name is Veronica Borrego, and I am an educational diagnostician with the district and the president of AOBE, the Association of Brownsville Educators, the largest, longest-serving, and only chartered association in BISD. Tonight, I stand before you to share some reflections on what we believe constitutes an effective board member, particularly in the context of the board position on this agenda. A board member should have good communication. The importance of open and honest communication cannot be overstated. This extends not only to communication among yourselves, but also with all stakeholders and the broader community, all while maintaining the utmost confidentiality. A board member should be able to collaborate. Collaboration is the cornerstone of a successful board. This should be a space where diverse opinions are not only welcomed, but respected. Recognize that disagreements are inevitable, but do not shy away from them. Instead, commit to resolving conflicts effectively, fostering an environment where differing perspectives can coexist and ultimately propel the district forward. A board member should be inquisitive. Asking questions is a powerful tool for a board member. Genuine inquiries about how you can contribute to the betterment of the district its staff, and most importantly, its students should guide your engagement. A board member should embrace strategic thinking and networking as essential components for the district's growth. Establish partnerships within the community, listen attentively to diverse perspectives, and remain open to constructive criticism. A board member should serve as an ambassador for the district. They should not seek to advance personal agendas, but ensure that the needs of the district, its staff, and students are met. They should be selfless in their actions and decisions, recognizing the weight of responsibility bestowed upon them. A board member should be passionate. Passion is a driving force that can be contagious. It incites creativity, innovation, and a commitment to action. As board members, let passion guide your decisions, inspiring positive change within the district. A board member should have integrity. They should be transparent, honest, and have strong moral principles and moral uprightness. As you deliberate on the board vacancy, consider these principles. The decisions you make today will further shape the future of our district, impacting the lives of our students, staff, and the vitality of our community. With the holiday season upon us, I encourage all employees to engage in some well-deserved self-care. Spend quality time with your loved ones, recharge, and return with renewed vigor. On behalf of AOBE, I extend our warmest wishes for a wonderful and safe holiday season. Thank you for your time, attention, and dedication to the well-being of our district, and have a wonderful evening.
Next up is Mr. Adan Salas.
Good afternoon. My name is Adan Salas. I'm from Ideal Community Consultants, nonprofit organization, and I lived here in Brownsville all my life. And just make it short, I voted for the majority of you up here right now. Not all of them, but I'm impressed. The ones that I did not vote for, how good job they're doing. I just want to take this time to let the board know that I believe in you all, and you're going to make the right decision. And I hope that it's ethical and legal decision that you all make. I trust in you all that you will make the right decision to keep Minerva Pena'S. That's all I really got to say. Thank you.
Next up is Ms. Aiza Nieto.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Chavez. My name is Ms. Nieto. I'm a school counselor at Sharp Elementary. This is my 25th year with BISD. I just wanted to say two roles of the many that board members have. The board sees itself primarily as a policy setting body and delegates the administration of schools to the superintendent. In addition, the board provides oversight and represents the desires, expectations of the stakeholders. We are the stakeholders. The people that voted for the board are the stakeholders, the students, the teachers, the community, the people here, the people watching. And the desires and the expectations of the stakeholders is to keep Minerva Peña as a board member. Unfortunately, our previous superintendent created such a divide. It created them against them, this against that. And then in some of the meetings before he left, he wanted to have a team building training. I think that's a little bit too late. Unfortunately, it created what we have here in BISD, which is classrooms that are overfilled. You can walk through the classrooms or come to visit the schools, and you will see, and you would hear teachers letting you know how they're overfilled, they're overworked, and nothing was pretty much done. We want to keep Minerva Peña because she advocates for the students and the employees of this district for the last 15 years. She listens to her community by meeting with her stakeholders, or she answers her emails all the time. Any messages we send her, she's there, she's listening. She supports the community and the district events. She is attending softball, baseball, football. I mean, everywhere you go, she's attending, schools. She's visiting schools. She's been a care partner at our school for so many years at Resaca and then at Sharp Elementary. And she asks those hard questions that the superintendent proposes. And that's the reason why we want to let her go. And that is so wrong. That's what she needs to do, is to provide those hard questions. She's one, and many of you have done it also, but she's been a very big advocate. And the superintendent is able to say, you know what, this is that. And she asks for those questions. And that's the reason why we want to let her go. It doesn't have to be. We don't have to let her go. But we're having this board meeting, special called board meeting, because she speaks out and she's an advocate for us. And it's so sad and unfair. And I wish it wasn't happening because, like I said, she's wonderful. And that's what I just wanted to say. November is coming when we are going to vote again. And many people are watching, people are listening, people will be sharing information, and they know what's going on, who's who, what's what. And I'm sorry, Dr. Chavez, you're here, with all this mess that was created between both parties. But unfortunately, we really don't want to let Miss Peña go. I just wanted to express that. So thank you for your attention. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
That concludes public comment. Next up is discussion and possible action to declare the board trustee vacancy. Before we move forward, can we have Nick Maddox, our legal counsel, kind of explain to us why it is that we're here?
Yes, Madam President, members of the Board of Trustees. I will try to keep this brief because it's been, I believe, over 3 years of history, and I know lawyers like to talk too much. So my understanding is this started in November of 2020, which was before my time as board counsel and before my firm's time here serving Brownsville ISD. My understanding at that time is there was an election. And
Mr. President, just for
Hold on,
clarification.
Maddox. Yes,
Sure.
sir.
Do you have 5 minutes as well?
Madam President, do I have 5 minutes as well?
No, you can take however time you need so you can explain why it is that we're here. It's important that everybody understands the right reason that we're
Thank you.
here.
Does that answer your question, sir?
Of course it does.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go
So
ahead.
in 2020, Ms. Minerva Pena had an election. It's my understanding that she lost that election. What that does as a matter of law under the elections code is it causes a holdover position. This is actually a Texas constitutional issue and not a statutory one, although it is codified. And what that means is there's no vacuum in power, says the Texas Constitution. So every seat in Texas is like a rental house. There's an occupant there that will either eventually leave by resignation, by losing an election, or by potentially death, right? And so it contemplates every seat eventually being empty. However, the concern was by our constitutional drafters was that what if the seats are all empty? And so they came up with this holdover doctrine, which means that the last person to hold that seat continues to hold that seat, even if they've resigned, even if they've lost an election, and in some cases, even post-death, until the next individual is sworn into that seat. So for local governments here in this district, the moment that Ms. Pena lost her election, the seat became vacant and the holdover doctrine became active. There was a challenge to that loss, and Ms. Pena went and challenged that in a court of law. There was an appeal, and she exhausted that entire legal process. That took the better part of 3 years. This board at the local level has always, from the date of that election, had the option to fill that vacancy under 11.060 of the Elections Code by either appointment or special election, or if the timeline is long enough, they could wait until a general election. It just sort of depends on the timeline. My understanding is this district, while the legal proceedings were going on, decided to respect the position, respect the trustee in that position, and take no action until those legal proceedings were concluded. Because while it's a local elections issue, it's also at the time was a judicial one. It's also my understanding this month there is finality on the judicial issues at hand. The judges have ruled. This was appealed to the Texas Supreme Court. The Texas Supreme Court refused to hear this, and therefore the trial court ruling stands. My understanding of that ruling and reviewing it and speaking with the lawyers on that case, just to be clear, Brownsville ISD was not a party to these legal proceedings. The school district will not and cannot and should not be involved in that. We're simply bystanders waiting to be told by a judicial order what we can and cannot do. That judicial order came down, and again, there's finality there. So now that the judicial challenges are done, the option that has always been before the board about this vacant position and the holdover position has now become a local question. And that's what we're here today, is to review our position as a school district and as a board with our open vacant position, with our holdover position, and decide what the board wants to do with it. And so the first item on the agenda is to declare the board trustee vacancy. This is a formality. I think it's an important one because you are local governance here, and the local government needs to recognize that vacancy. The vacancy already exists by judicial order, which is final, cannot be appealed, already went up to the Texas Supreme Court, and by the nature of the elections code. So it's done, it is vacant, and it is holdover. But the first item here is to just simply acknowledge that and recognize that as a board. Any questions?
Motion to approve.
I have questions.
Sure.
I'm going to second, but so we can start discussion. Go ahead.
Do I have 5 minutes as well?
Yes.
The public has a lot to digest and have a
Robert's
lot.
Rules of Order,
Oh, Robert's Rules of Order apply now?
they have for the past few months, Mr. Elizondo.
You didn't for the attorney, right? But that's okay. No worries.
Thank you.
Go ahead, start my time now, sir.
I already did.
Just real quick, where in policy does it say that there is a vacancy that was,
It's in the
Made
B.
open.
It's throughout the B series, which is local governance of your policy.
would that be BBC local,
That's one of them.
legal? You want to read it?
I don't.
You should.
Okay. I've read it before. Do you mean out loud right now? Or is
Most
there-
definitely, yes.
Is there a
But-
particular?
But hold on, there's still more to that. We also are governed by TASB, right?
No.
No?
TASB is
TASB
not a
does not apply?
governing entity. No, sir.
The recommendations don't apply either?
The recommendations.
Okay, let me read to you a recommendation by TASB.
Okay.
It says, number 16, may school board remove one of its members? Do you know the answer?
It's contextual.
It says no.
That's because the board doesn't have the authority to remove a board member who's lawfully sitting.
Let me repeat myself. It says no.
Okay.
Okay. And it also says Texas law does not provide for recall of trustees. Were you aware of that?
I am.
Okay. And trustees themselves may not remove a fellow trustee from office. Were you aware of that as well?
Of course.
Were you aware of Garcia versus Angelini, 412?
Not song and verse, but generally.
You should read it. It's pretty interesting. And it's also Texas Civil Appellate, Eastland, 1967, no writ. A
That's an
school
old
member
case.
may be removed from office in a quo warranto proceeding initiated by the county or district attorney.
They can be.
Wherever that one too.
I am.
It's also Texas Civil Practice, right? And Remediation Code 66.001
Remedies code, not remediation.
0.003. I'm not an attorney. That's what you get paid for. And also, a board member may also be removed through a proceeding for removal initiated by petition to the proper district court. Grounds for such removal include incompetency and official misconduct, which was not done here. Texas
Also in
Local Government
policy,
Code.
also doesn't apply here.
Excuse me, sir. I'll tell you when you talk, okay? When you can talk.
Okay.
Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 87, see TASB policy, BBC legal, which is something that we follow, correct?
Can I talk?
You can now.
Yes, sir.
So under that, you're saying that there's still a vacancy
Yes, sir.
under your interpretation?
No, the judicial interpretation.
What was it? You want to read it? What the
judge's
order was?
I don't
Well-
have the order in front of me.
You should. Don't you think that's important?
I have reviewed it.
But that's your opinion, sir. Would you want to read it to the public? Like
I-
Ms. Jessica Gonzalez says, it's important for the public to know.
The judicial order is a public document, sir. I don't have it in front of
I'm
me
not
to read
asking
it
you if
for
it's
you.
public. I said it would be important for you to read it out to the public.
I have read that document.
In front of the public, sir.
I don't speak for the public. That's your job.
That's what I'm asking you to do.
I don't have it in front of me, sir. I can't read something I don't
So,
have.
so you came unprepared to this meeting.
No, sir.
So you have it then?
I have reviewed it, as is my job.
Do you have it?
I think I've been clear that I do not have it.
So
with
you
me.
came unprepared to a meeting.
That's your opinion, sir.
Yes, it is.
Question? Ms. Peña?
Okay, sir, just some clarifications. I noticed that you said that Ms. Peña lost the November election, and you kept saying she lost the November election. At no point did you say there was a recount and Ms. Peña won the election when the recount came, which was, I was given credit for 9 votes. They found 15 votes that were left out of the machine in my name, and some of the opponents that were with me in that race, they had their ballots doubled. So when I asked them, what are you going to do with the other 6 votes? Because they found 15 and they didn't give me credit for that. It really boggled my mind. What was their intention? And then when I see the lawsuit come up, then I figured out what was happening. Another thing, the judge only ordered, sir, a new election. Nowhere in that did the judge order to vacate the seat. So where are you reading that the judge ordered to vacate the seat? Because I read that and I was not in there. So can you tell me which one you read? Because the judge's order was just for a new election, not to vacate the seat. So I could continue here in this position until the election in May. And please forgive me, and I'm going to step on toes, and I always apologize. It is heartbreaking that the district was sued, or I was sued for a new election, and the district is going to have to pay over $80,000, the money that we could have given to our students. And then we have to do it again in November. That's heartbreaking to me, but that's just how I feel. But in the order, sir, it just said a new election was granted. It did not say that I had to vacate the seat. So under the holdover, I could be allowed to stay here and continue my seat because of the fact that I'm waiting for the new election. Am I correct in my way of thinking, Mr.?
You are
Okay.
correct. As a holdover, you could stay. Yes, ma'am.
I really appreciate you for that. Thank you.
Mr. Ortiz?
In listening to your explanations, it really concerns me that some very pertinent information that needs to be discussed and let out to us and to the community is not coming out. For instance, I agree with Ms. Peña. At no point in time did the judge order to vacate that seat. You also indicated that, and I'm going to repeat it just the way she did, that she lost the election. At no point was it told to the community that when a recount was done, she came out as the winner. So I would just want to make sure that we give out the correct information, sir, whenever we are, dealing with situations like this.
We have a first and a second. Ready to
I have
vote?
a
Oh,
rebuttal.
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And Ms. Peña, when she was reading holdover doctrine, that's in our policy, correct? BBC local? Let me just read it to you. Holdover doctrine, all public officers shall continue to perform the duties of their offices until their successors shall be duly qualified. In example, sworn. Until the vacancy created by the board member's resignation is filled by a successor, the board member continues to serve and have the duties and powers of office and continues to be subject to the nepotism provisions. A holdover board member may not vote on the appointment of his or her successor. And this is probably your language because I'll probably get it wrong. Texas Constitution, Article 16, Section 17, Attorney General. I don't know what OPS means, but I'm sure you do.
Opinion.
JM 636, 1987. That's in our policy. That's a holdover doctrine, correct?
That's your local policy doctrine. Yes,
That's
sir.
right. And so the board is being asked to create a vacancy, yet there is no state law or policy which gives the board the authority to create a vacant or vacancy. The board does not even have the authority to remove a board member. Both Texas Election Code 221.015 and our BBC legal policy, which is state law, addresses the specific situation with the Texas holdover statute. The board is being asked to create a vacancy, yet there is no state law or policy which gives the board the authority to create a vacancy. Our policy, BBC legal, specifies how a vacancy is created, and an election contest does not create a vacancy. The board does not even have the authority to remove a board member. Both the Texas Election Code 221.015 and our BBC legal policy, which is state law, addresses our specific situation with the Texas holdover statute. Board counsel, you know better than that.
Yeah, I disagree with your analysis entirely.
Sure you do, because I'm not on the majority, but I understand. Thank you.
The
Ms.
law is
Lopez,
the law on this one, sir.
Ms. Lopez Valdez?
Legal counsel, maybe you can help me with this, but ultimately, after this case was declared, well, this election was declared void by not just one, but 3 courts. It went all the way to the Texas Supreme Court.
That is correct. Yes, ma'am. It's my
And
understanding.
ultimately, the judge declared this a null and void, and no parties of the board participated in this. This was a completely independent of BISD and our knowledge. So ultimately, when a is declared void, our responsibility is to make sure we put an independent party in that position. Is that correct?
The board is able to, pursuant to elections code, appoint or to call a special election, or depending on the timeline, to wait until a general election to fill that position. Yes, ma'am.
So this has absolutely nothing to do with BISD. What we're doing is just upholding what 3 courts, including the highest in the state, has told us to do, pretty much.
Gotcha. Ms. Garza?
Thank you. And I like to piggyback off of Ms. Lopez Valdez. We're pretty much just following and abiding by the court order. That's why we're here today. And it's our duty to the community and the rule of law to act accordingly. So this is a court order. This has nothing to do, because we weren't part of this lawsuit. So we're just abiding by the court's ruling that had been in place for 3.5 years, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the court order that keeps specifying it?
You're out of time, sir.
Mr. Ortiz?
What was the court order?
Mr. Ortiz?
Once again,
Timothy Maddox.
Elizondo, it's Mr. Ortiz's turn.
once again, legal. It was just stated a little while ago that this case went to Texas Supreme Court, and it was heard there. But you just told us that it was sent back. The Texas Supreme Court did not even look at it. They sent it back. Is that correct?
They looked at it to make a determination as to whether they would hear it or not. They determined they would not hear it, and it was remanded.
I just want to make that point clear again. I keep on hearing misinformation.
Ms. Peña, your rebuttal?
Yes, my rebuttal is, you mentioned that the court order, they keep mentioning, my colleagues say the court order says we do that. The court order never stated that I had to be removed and vacate the position prior to the election. It just ordered a new election. Am I correct that that is not in the court order?
You're correct that it's silent on that. It's a local governance decision, which is why it's before the board today.
And this is why I'm asking my board members not to do this to me, because it's your personal decision. It's a Christmas holidays. Put yourselves in my shoes. Christmas holidays, and it's causing a lot of turmoil and discomfort to people. And we stand up here and we all sit and know we are Christians and believers of God. To do something that is going to be harmful to the community and to the person you're doing it to, I'm asking you to please reconsider, because in fact, you could even appoint me to continue in this seat until the election. And that's what I'm asking you to do, because I'm just here to serve and do my best. And I know at times I've stepped on toes, and I've always apologized. And I mean it sincerely when I do, because I am very passionate at what I do. The court order did not mandate that you remove me. It's something that the school district and the school board members have a choice to do. And I'm asking you to please not do that, because especially during the holidays. And I sure wish you would have waited till 2024 in January to let us all have a nice, blessed Christmas holiday with our family and friends and community, and not have them worry about this. So I am asking you to please let me continue this position. And you have the authority to do that. And I am asking you to please do that. Thank you.
No? We have,
I just want to say that the elections code was waived, until these proceedings were concluded. I think that has happened, and it's time to move forward. This is not a recall. This is something that the courts have found that that election was null and void, and I think it's time to move forward as a board. and a decision has been made. So, and there's a first and a second. So I call the
Ms.
motion
Pat, you
here.
ready?
Please vote. Motion passes 4 yes, 3 no.
Next up, discussion on possible action to fill board trustee vacancy by appointment pursuant to Texas Education Code 11.060.
I motion to fill the board trustee vacancy by appointing. This individual has no idea that they're going to be named. Mr. Tim Ramirez pursuant to the Texas Education Code 11.060.
Second.
I was going to second that, but of course, that is if he accepts the nomination. Being that he has accepted,
Please vote. There's no discussion.
Please vote.
And please, just want to state, I think the world of you, Mr. Tim, and I'm voting no because I don't want to give up my position. It's nothing against you. Please know that.
Mr. Elizondo?
Do you want me to vote no? Mr. Maddox?
I have no opinion on the matter, sir.
I know.
Motion passes 5 yes, 1 no, and 1 abstention.
Next up is to administer the oath of office. If we can have Mr. Tim Ramirez, and we do have Judge Cordova here present to administer the oath of office.
Can I get you to raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me? I, and if you'll give me your name,
Tim Ramirez,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duty of the office
of the Brownsville Independent School
of the Brownsville Independent Schools
District Trustee Office,
District Trustee Office,
place
place
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my abilities
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Still in shock.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez, for accepting. I know you were clueless, but I admire how you've been out there in our community, always pushing for our students, and not just our students, but I know your collaboration through TSC with a Mariachi Association, and that is why I felt, and when I threw your name out, I felt you were a great candidate for this position to fulfill the remainder of this, of what's left of this seat till May 4th. So God bless you, and I wish you and your family the best because we have a lot of work to do together.
I'm very honored. And
Closer to the mic, Tim. Closer to the mic.
thank you very much. I'm touched. I was not expecting it, really wasn't. And I'm still dazed. But anyway, I I was a student with BISD for 12 years and a teacher for 35 years and been a strong advocate, continued after I retired from BISD, continued to be a strong advocate for our students and just students in the abuse and situation with CASA and working with Rotary and Mariachi Association. I'm just out there doing the best that I can. I love it and I'm very honored and I'm going to do the best for our students and for the employees. And thank you once again.
Thank you, Tim. Congratulations to you and your family. I will make a motion to adjourn.
I need to say something, please, before I leave.
Ms. Peña, go ahead.
I want to thank everyone. I'm going to still continue to serve this community, still go to the events. I'm very in shock that we had a judge here ready to swear someone in, which means the decision was made prior to this meeting. And I do want to tell people, we need to pay attention because the government, we suffer with the people that get into office because we don't pay attention. I'm asking you for your vote in May and make sure that every time you go out and vote, you vote for the best people to do the job and not have anybody come in and do things behind our backs and act like it didn't happen. I thank you and I will continue to serve this community because all of you know, all of you can serve. You don't need a title to make a difference in this community that we love and adore. So thank you. Have a very Merry Christmas. And when we have an abundantly blessed 2024 new school year. Thank you again for all your time.
Can I have a second?
We have a motion on the table.
Second.
Please vote.
Please vote. Motion passes 7-0 unanimous.
We are now adjourned.